Hey, warm welcome to everyone for CDS for the Umbrella release, and this is for the CephFS component. Um, Let me quickly link the. Oh yeah, before I start, voice all okay?
I can hear you.
All right. All right. I'll link the Etherpad link in the chat. I hope everyone can see that. Um, let's go through run down the list one by one, and please feel free to add topics to the pad. Mm, and, I'll be happy to discuss this with everyone. All right. Uh, let's go through the first one. Um, okay. First one is lack of Ceph CLI for CephFS mirror status and statistics and related. This is for the CephFS mirror daemon, by the way, and a related enhancement proposed is for health reporting for the mirror daemon. So yeah, Joss and I have been kind of looking into you know what's required to do this. But just before we get into this, a bit of a history on this. The Mirror Demon um has absolutely the way we do all the status reporting is mirrored in the Mirror Demon is currently pretty crude. Um, there's a bunch of ASO commands, nothing too fancy, which list out basically just minimal information on what the sync status is, what directories are being synchronized, snapshots for which directories are being synchronized, and how which snapshots have been synchronized for each directory and stuff like that. Like pretty minimal. That is fine, but it's not like it's for power users. That's pretty good. Basically, just useless because it doesn't show you like things which admin would like to know, which is like how much time, estimated time would synchronization for a snapshot for a directory um, would the estimated time in such cases, the throughput if possible, and things like that. So and the ASR command itself and the ASR interface itself is pretty crude. You need to be in the host where the mirror daemon is running. And if you have been running like the multiple instances of the mirror daemon, then you have to get these data sets from each node, which is extremely um, non-intuitive. So the first part for this theme of having the mirror daemon being able to like a nice way to query the statuses and statistics for for directories for synchronization is to first move away from ASOC and this and have the mirror daemon, kind of the population information somewhere, maybe in the manager, which can be then queried by some manager, command. The mirror daemon already, the CephFS mirror is all controlled by like the mirroring module, and so it makes sense to kind of have all those pushed into the mirror daemon. Um, so the mirror daemon, as we all know, like it is integrated with the service daemon component. That's in the manager and the Rados library, I suppose. Manager client and the Rados library, I suppose. So looks like the appropriate thing to do would be to make use of interfaces from that, the service daemon interfaces, and push out the statistics to Ceph manager, which can then like you know expose this from a bunch of CLI commands. So that's one thought of it. Um, so I want to just get opinions on, thoughts on that. And if there's a better way to do it, RPD Mirror does something similar, I guess. So this will be along the same lines of that. Um, anyone?
And we finally implemented a service daemon interface we could plug into, but we have one. We were talking about a few years, so that sounds great.
Yeah, so it's already
Mhm.
plugged in with the service daemon actually, and all it does with the service daemon is to like send basic like status
Yeah.
to Ceph manager, and so that's the second part of it actually. But just to talk about that a minute, a bit. Um, we send like what, Joss, if you have it in your head right now, you send like pretty minimal, I guess. Quickly check. Um, it's like a status JSON, and all it does is um,
we are basically sending the service status. Uh,
yeah, yeah. But what does it have?
and I think that's it. Service status.
Yeah, so basically I'm
Yeah.
seeing like the service daemons.cc in the CephFS mirror code, and basically it's just a JSON with the file systems that are mirroring enabled, the peers, and like stats. Like stats should be like how many directories have been synchronized, how many snapshots have been synchronized, and stuff like that. So nothing like
Yeah.
nothing
Fail
too
count.
useful for a power user. Yeah. So
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
pretty
Because
minimal.
fail count.
have you talked to the RBD team about how they're using it in Mirror Daemon? Because they're clearly doing like a lot with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let
Just
me
looking at the get grepping through the source code. But yeah, that seems like a great plan to me.
yeah. Yeah. It just need to be enhanced actually. Uh, yeah. So the second part, which is interesting, is uh, so if a mirror daemon kind of hits a failure, like it cannot synchronize a directory or whatever, it's like a snapshot failure or something. Um, there isn't much like in terms of health reporting. Um, in a sense, we don't change the cluster status to health one, and we have spoken about this a bit. RBD Mirror doesn't do it either, I think. So earlier, I wasn't sure if the interface is to kind of change the health status of the cluster on like one of the service daemons that hits an error. But on close inspection of the manager code, I found there's a way to do it. So the question is that the right thing to do? I mean, Mirror daemon is optional, right? So does it make sense to like flip the cluster health status to health one if there is a um, Mirror daemon failure, like synchronizing some snapshots? Um, maybe yes, maybe no, but I just want to get opinions on that.
What does RBD do here, and is it on purpose?
I'm not sure what RBD Mirror daemon
We should probably
failure.
coordinate with them. Um,
Mhm.
but I think
Yeah,
like yeah, it's optional, but if you're running it, then presumably you want it working. So I like obviously if it's never been on or is unconfigured, that it's not an issue that you want to warn about. But once something like that is doing work, and if it stops doing work, that seems bad.
Mm. Yeah, I don't think so. The RBD Mirror does like the health status flip. I don't think
No.
so. It does
Yeah.
have a nice, clean queryable interface to get these stat stuff, like which images have been like synchronized and all, but it doesn't like change the health status to something else. Um, so if you do this for this CephFS mirror daemon, we may as well see if somebody is interested in it.
Yeah, I mean we should talk about this on just the mailing list then and figure out.
Yeah,
Presumably it's something the service manager interface should grow rather than something we
yeah,
individualize and
yeah. So I checked upon this a bit. The the MMGR report message that the service manager actually uses to send these reports to Ceph manager has another field called daemon health metrics. And currently it's only the OSD and the MON that is actually using this daemon health metric. And it might make sense for the mirror daemons to kind of make use of this additionally. But there is code in the in Ceph manager that's hard coded basically, saying that only check this particular field if the message is from a monitor or an OSD.
well, we also need to like if a demon disappears, it's not going to send that information to change update the health. And we if we want to warn on mirror demon death, then we have to do that outside of the mirror demon,
The mirror
right?
daemon is currently sending the MMGR report. It makes use of service service daemon, whatever.
Yeah,
And if
but
a
I
mirror
mean,
daemon
if
dies, then I think so the Ceph manager kind of then figures it out and then cleans up, like culls all those demons which it has not heard from.
I mean, if the manager is monitoring those, that's good. But
Yeah, I think it does. Uh,
okay, I don't know. Like I'm out of date on the manager.
okay. Yeah. So this basically needs close interaction working with Ceph manager folks and RBD mirror folks to see if they are interested in it. But yeah, this is something which would be nice to have. So yeah, Jaws has been spending some time on this. But yeah, this is something which we want to get it into one of our really next, at least the Emperor release. Could be backportable, but yeah, depending on how extensive the changes are. Mm,
Hey Venki, one quick question here.
Yep.
So for the status and any additional metrics that we're now enhancing with, I mean, we're putting into the mirror daemon, what needs to be done on the CephFS side, if at all, to expose that to dashboard?
Okay, good question. I mean, whenever we want to expose something to dashboard, we either give them an interface which they can query, like a Ceph manager command, which basically is what I was talking about as an interface to get these stats. So that's one. The other is maybe you know, okay, that's basic. That's Prometheus. That's the node exporter. So that's different. Sorry, I was going to talk about like the you know, when a node exporter runs in a node, it like makes use of the ASO commands, but this is different. So I think so. A queryable interface, Ceph manager command should mostly suffice. Is my understanding.
I mean, it depends how sophisticated we want that to be. Because if we're just updating the health, like that's a thing that the dashboard already tracks, and we'd just be putting a new statement into it. But it would be, health worn, health error or whatever, and the dashboard would know what to do with that already because it's not customized per string.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're like flipping the health status, then dashboard will actually catch it. Uh, there's an if you bring in another interface to get details of that, then health detail actually, it's string based and it's probably just one-liners, which is insufficient. Um, but we could like put in something else that, saying that, if you want more, go and check this command, and that will give you a lot more.
Okay, and sorry, I'm not sure I completely understood what Greg said. So if I were to monitor, let's say, sync status
Oh yeah,
on
that's a whole
the
different thing with
dashboard,
the dashboard.
right? So that would
Yeah.
require a lot of additional new
Oh
stuff on
yeah,
the dashboard.
for sure. But I mean, we don't have any of those people here, I don't
Do we
think.
have anything for mirror on the dashboard right now? I mean, I think I saw something for RBD mirror, but for CephFS, sorry, for CephFS mirror, do we have anything on dashboard? Does anyone know?
So when you say like, so just to step back a bit, Mahesh, when you say like monitor mirroring stats, you're talking about like what's the current like backlog of synchronization essentially, right? How many directories, how much it has done, how much is pending, how much time would it take, stuff like that. Am I
Right,
correct?
right.
Yeah, we'd have to talk to them about that, and we can help. But since we're 19 minutes through an hour meeting, maybe we should change topics.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'll just note it down and then we can switch to the next. But yeah, you can get in touch with them. Yeah. All right. Anything more on that? All right. Next topic. ETA for CephFS disaster recovery offline tools. Yeah. So there's another, folks who run the disaster recovery tools, folks from the community, and also, we have companies that provide CephFS support. So they're pretty eager to get this. Reason being, currently there's absolutely nothing. You run the tool, especially those data scan tools, which I create over the whole data pool and metadata pool, depending on what command you pass, and there's absolutely no feedback from them in terms of what it's doing. Well, you can run them in debug mode, but that spits out a lot, which is uninteresting. The idea here is to get like an estimate of how much time would it take to finish a particular step in the data scan in the disaster review process. So this effort, like Mahesh started it out, and and Ed is currently trying to polish it and enhance it a lot. Yeah, Ed, gathering from your stand-up updates in several stand-up, yeah, you've been exploring many options and talking to folks. So, you want to talk about this a bit? I'm not sure if I was audible, Edwin. Never mind. Okay, so let me. So I've been also looking into various ways of providing like the estimated time of completion. So one way that I suggested in Mahesh's PR was if we could
Sorry,
display like a progress event.
oh, sorry,
Hey,
I was on mute.
never mind. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, you've been exploring many options. Is what I was saying. Do you want to talk about a few?
Well, the approach I was going to take was to make use of the progress module in the Ceph manager. And there's a command line way to access it. So basically, Mahesh had done a lot of work to integrate a progress tracker into the various tools. And so what I was going to do was extend that to execute this sub process using the command line and update the progress. I think we'll have to make some changes, but not major changes. Like you have to name each worker should probably have its own progress tracker, I think. So if you started 8 jobs, you'll get 8 progress meters for each of the 8 jobs, that kind of thing, as opposed to one all-encompassing one. Because I don't know any way to communicate the progress status between them, and there's no way in the progress monitor to do that. Basically all you do is you send the progress module the percentage of the work that's done and a string to display to the user. The big question I have is what happens if it can't get to the manager? The process is going to fail. Then what? Display something on the command line on the console? Do
Yeah.
nothing?
Yeah, I mean, this is like, and the ETA is basically nice, but it should not stop. Any failure in reporting ETA should not stop the disaster recovery step. Um, you know, that is obviously non-negotiable because, like if you fail to talk to the Ceph manager for whatever reason, and Ceph manager is an optional daemon. I mean, it could like be unavailable for some time for various reasons. Um, so if the manager is unavailable, then we should just like show something on the command line and not worry about it.
Yeah,
So
I mean, you can always dump just, straight to the command line, do printf or the equivalent, see out kind of thing. And in the case of failure, it might fill up your console. Um, and I'm not sure what happens if you run it under like a SIG hub, if redirected. Hopefully people aren't doing that, but um, uh, I guess
I
if
think
you do
it's,
that, you get what you deserve.
but I think mostly it's run with or no hub because it takes too long and there's no visibility into where it is. So, uh, right, Venki? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So my
yeah,
thinking was to use like you can do a simple curses thing. I actually not even curses, just like you know uh scroll to the beginning of the line and then overwrite the line and then scroll back to the beginning of the line and overwrite the line and stuff like that. But I think that SIGHUB standard out is not a TTY, so I don't think you can do that when you run it under SIGHUB. I'm not certain of that, but I seem to recall running into issues like that in the past.
yeah, that might be correct because I think the standard out is no hub dot out then.
yeah.
Hmm.
The
Yeah,
current state of the PR does dump it to standard out. Um, yeah, but I agree with Venki here. I mean, the recovery commands are too critical to fail because of a status failure. Uh, Especially because some of them actually restart. I think all of them restart from the beginning. I don't think there's an option to a save state and then continue the recovery from a saved state.
Yeah, I didn't see anything like that in the command line that you could pass in.
yeah, yeah. I think so. In cursors, while it will be nice, but really, I think it's a bit too much unless in cursors is somehow really easy than this progress thing. Um, um, and anyway, you have to run like n curses in every single instance of the worker, right? So that still doesn't give an aggregated view in one place. I mean, it kind of does, but you have to observe. So yeah, given n curses versus like using progress module, I'll say progress module because then the thing is that's nicely shown in Ceph status
Oh
and it's
yeah,
queryable.
yeah, no. My thinking is the progress module would be the first option. What happens if the progress can't be reported that way because of can't connect to the manager or I don't know what are the kind of errors there might be. You
Yeah.
know,
Can we log at a maybe higher interval in that case and be done with it?
yeah, that
For
was my
what log?
that was my fallback. My first fallback is just do a dumb printf to the screen, to standard out and uh, uh
I
and just
meant
be able to live with it.
I meant not even to standard out. I just meant to the log.
Oh,
I mean, I think standard out's probably a better place than the log, or maybe standard error if it's an update. That's for standard out.
yeah, I don't know. Does it have a log file that it logs stuff to? I didn't come across that in
Yeah.
I mean, any daemon that runs sort of with Ceph common can be configured to log somewhere, but
Yeah.
most people aren't going to. So
Yeah, it just seems like just something more complicated to track. Figure out where the heck the log file is and then tail it and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say just jump to STD out STDR. I mean, the chances of manager not being available for really, really, really long is like very. I don't think so that ever happens. I don't know, even if it is there, it's probably like gone for 15, 20 minutes or something for whatever reason, and then it comes back. So the disaster recovery procedure does take longer than that. And, I would say, yeah, we do a progress command, and then if it fails, so we run that with a timeout, or maybe in a separate thread or whatever. And if that stops doing its thing, then we just dump to STD out.
Okay.
And yeah, we are doing one progress event per worker, right?
Uh, I I don't
Not
know.
aggregated.
I haven't dug that far into it to see exactly what's being updated. Um,
Mhm.
uh, because it looks like there's from inner loops, there's the progress tracker is getting called with an increment update function. Um, and then
If you mean the current, like the PR, then yes, it is per worker.
Mm. Okay.
Like,
Yeah, that's fine too, I think.
but a quick note there, like, how would that help the user, like, get an aggregated view of, like, let's say they have like 4 workers, like, would they have to do that computation on their end to figure out how long it's going to take for the recovery to finish?
well, each worker will have a progress. So each worker will say, I'm 10% done. And then when you take a look at it with Ceph status, you'll see, worker one, worker two, worker three, and then the percentage done for each one of the workers. Now there probably is a way that I could estimate an ETA and update the progress that way. Maybe.
is that something we actually want to obscure though? Like these workers should all be basically going the same speed. And if they're not, you might want to see that and be like, wait, because it's like, why is this node behind? Like, does it have less networking or something? Or maybe we'll find out that they all move at completely different speeds because the tree is really imbalanced or something. But we'll probably figure that out in testing, and and then we can look at it then.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll take a couple of feedback cycles to get the right
Yeah.
information. Um,
Yeah.
once we get the rest of the plumbing done, but that's more or less, I don't know. That's like polishing the polishing exactly what we want to report in the progress update. Whether we want to put an ETA in there. It probably is calculatable. I mean, you know how many objects are need to be processed. You know how many have been done up to this point, so you can probably extrapolate from there.
Yeah.
I have a question about the count, however. We are getting the total object count from a radar score, right? Get pool stats or something. And is that accurate?
Yeah, should
I
be.
mean, within
One,
bounds.
I mean, yeah,
I
I'm just,
I think that's calculated from the PG stats that are updated on every scrub, so they're definitely not like live.
Hmm.
It's
So how
yeah,
laggy can that be?
man. Well, if it's on every scrub, then it's very laggy. I'm actually Oh wait, no. These are no. Those are coming from the PG stats, so those are updated every several seconds. It's
All
only
right.
the OMAP sizes that are updated on Scrub. Yeah.
Ah, okay. I mean, yeah, we are like iterating these objects, and then just in case if that's laggy and we overshoot the total object count, then we should not be like showing negative. And that's a bug we'll catch anyway. All right. Okay, so one progressive event per worker is what we are sticking to, and down to STD out, STD here if managers are unresponsive. Yeah. Just a note about one thing you mentioned, Greg. You mentioned about the trees imbalance, but how is that possible? Because I mean, these workers are essentially like going to the data pool and scraping objects, so that's like flat, and
Yeah.
they are
I mean,
sliced based on the number of workers. So,
I think that's what should happen. I was just like, maybe there's
oh, all
something
right,
weird if like a particular
yeah,
set of objects is
all right. So yeah,
yeah.
they should be like close to each other in work speed. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Well, and I mean, I suppose that also depends on how close they are in terms of network hops that you have to go
Yeah.
through. I suppose that could affect things.
Yeah.
Yeah, might also tell you if there are actual hardware problems.
Yeah, if one's going really slow, then it's either obviously could be the network. All right. Yeah, I mean, it looks like one progressive and per worker is probably giving much more advantage than the aggregated one. So we'll stick to that. Let's see. All right. There was on this note, there was another. I haven't put this up yet in the pad, but one community user was telling if we could run scan links in congruent workers, which I don't think so we can, because it's like going through the metadata pool and scanning all the OMAP inodes and fixing up like hard links. So you know that because it has to scan the entire tree for that. So is that the only reason why it could not like run in congruent workers? What if there's a file system which has no hard links? Could we do like make these scan links run in congruent workers? I mean, if there are scan links, you technically cannot, because you have to like each worker will be like going through the entire thing, like the entire file system to figure out how many links we have.
I'm sure there's a way to parallelize it, but who knows how hard it is.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know enough about it to be able to
Yeah,
even yes.
yeah, no worries. Yeah, this was like something different than the actual tool itself rather than the status reporting. Anyway, I'll get a tracker created for that and discuss it there if you want. Scan there. All right. Next one up. Oh, sorry. Anything else for this topic? I guess not. All right, moving up to the next. Quarantining a CephFS subvolume. All right, yeah, it's basically for like a ransomware use case where things happen on a subvolume and then you want to like quarantine it. So disallow any read write to it. If clients have mounted that particular subvolume, disallow evict them. And if some client has mounted root, then totally disallow access to that particular directory, subvolume directory. Milind has started some thinking work on this. Is Milind around?
Yeah, I'm around.
Hey, Milind, want to talk about this a bit?
Yeah. Well, the the issue about quarantining subvolume is that there are a couple of things. What happens when the root is mounted and the files are accessed via path to the subvolume and path directly accessed via subvolume mount. So those are two cases there. And the other thing is what happens if quarantine happens before a mount and what happens when a quarantine happens after the mount.
Yeah. All right. So, if if a subvolume is quarantined and then somebody tries to mount it, that can be identified, and obviously we can disallow mount. So that's, I think, so the straightforward case. If that particular subvolume has already been mounted, then you could like blocklist the client, evict and blocklist it. So that would be the simplest thing to do. For the case where a client has mounted root of the file system and has access to all the file system paths. Once a subvolume, which is actually a directory path in CephFS, has been quarantined, everything needs to be disallowed from that directory onwards. So if like a client has open file handles and it's writing to particular file inside that subvolume and that subvolume is quarantined, the client is possibly holding like caps on that file, like the file buffer caps, and it could like write like buffer those writes. So when a directory is quarantined, we might need to recall caps from the clients. So there's something like how Quires will do. Quires will like see what's in the empty cache for inodes, and recall like Quires will actually just recall, I think, so the write caps and the buffer caps. Reads can still go through, but in this case, for quarantining, I think so nothing has to be allowed. So we obviously will revoke write buffer. We can revoke buffer caps and the C cap, which is cache. But would that be enough? The requirement, I think so, the right thing to do might be to for all the IOs to error out. So any writes to the data pool to error out, and also any metadata operation reader writes to error out. So caps alone looks like might not solve that issue, because if you recall a particular cap, revoke a cap, and the client drops it, and next time it wants to do an operation, it will request the MDS for the cap, and in the MDS, if we modify the MDS saying that, okay, this file is under a quarantine subvolume and I will not hand over the cap, then we call it essentially blocked on the client side. So it's not like error out. But erroring out might be the right thing to do here with a particular error code, so that the client knows that something has happened to files under the subvolume, files and directories under the subvolume.
Yeah, but the issue is what if the client already has the caps, and if we recall the caps, it's going to flush the data, which is not acceptable.
Yeah. If you revoke a particular cap like the FB cap and it's going to flush out, it's going to like get an error from the OSD. Okay, so it won't get an error from the OSD because that write will go through. It's only when it's blocklisted it will get an error from the OS from that OSD op. So it will still go through actually. That file flush for buffer data will still go through, but I think so we need to prevent that because once you mark quarantine, subvolume as quarantine, anything before that, like anything that's cached or buffered is basically, you don't know what to do with it. You can just drop it maybe. But my question here is how do we like what error code first of all, and how do we do it? Uh, like if you blocklist a client right now, it's it's at the client address goes in the OSD map, and everyone knows about it. The client knows about it. The OSDs know about it. And then if a client makes a RADOS operation with that, it gets an e-block list. So that's how it gets an error code when it's block listed. It gets an error when it's block listed. That would be like the e-block list error code. So do we like introduce a new error code for this?
Sorry, Venki, I just want to understand your question a bit more. So when you say new error code, do you mean blocklist the client but with a specific error code?
No. So if a client has mounted that subvolume root, it can be blocklisted, right? That's fine. But if a client has mounted the root of the directory of the file system, we cannot blocklist it because it can
Right.
still access other parts of the tree.
Right.
So when it tries to access the part of the tree which is under quarantine, right, we need to it needs to be handled with a special error code, e-quarantined or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
Venki.
yeah. Like, if I recall all caps, revoke all caps from the client for files and directories under this quarantine subvolume. The client basically cannot get to it. Can't get to it in the sense it will try to do an operation. The client will make a cap request to the MDS, and the MDS will not hand over a cap. But then the call is blocked. Yeah.
We do not have a good way to return error messages on cap requests.
Right. It's a blocking call.
Like I don't
Exactly.
there's just well, it's a blocking call from the client, but the MDS just doesn't. I don't even know if the MDS return has a path for returning an error code there to the client there.
No, it doesn't. So essentially, the operation will be stuck. Stuck in the sense the
Yeah.
client won't know what's happening.
Yeah.
There's no way to return an e-access.
I think it would require protocol changes, which obviously is a thing we can do. It's just, I mean that probably we have to do, but it is more complicated. Like it means that we need some like new kernel clients to have
Yeah.
nice behavior and
Which is actually defeating the purpose because they might be older clients. And
yeah.
they can still go and access the quarantine directory, which is not great. We don't want that.
Like if it's a first access, we can reject things, but like unless
Yeah.
we're gonna prevent old clients from accessing data that might get quarantined, yeah. So maybe we update the protocol to have some way to return a nice e-access error code, and older clients just get blocklisted if this happens to them.
Like older clients can mount root, and then we are unnecessarily blocklisting those, which is not a good experience.
Yeah, but I mean, it's either we blacklist or we just hang forever on operations that the client doesn't know are going to be a forever hang.
Yeah,
and I mean, we can make that configurable, I guess, so the admin can choose which behavior they want, but it's going to be one of those. And
I mean, okay, so can't we do something like blocklisting where we add it to like, oh no, that will be like so many clients.
I mean, yeah, blacklisting acts on a whole client. So.
Yeah, not on a tree, right?
And I think we have to implement this on the server side so that we can have multiple paths through to deal with it, and then we can keep all of these ones in mind and implement the ones that we get to, right?
Would it be acceptable to force older clients to remount once some volume has been quarantined?
I mean, that's what blocklisting is.
But okay. But does that force a remount?
Yeah. To
No,
use
I mean,
to access the file system again, you have to remount. So Greg, are you saying one of the option is to like block list, but only like not access for a part of the tree? Or did you mean something else?
no, I'm saying that if we don't change the protocol, our options are to hang or to blocklist. That's it. Like,
Mhm.
it's going to be one of those. We can
Mhm.
implement, we can update the protocol so that we can return any access on cap issues. I don't know how hard that's going to be, but we don't want to like prevent old clients from accessing the file system for this, I don't think. So we're going to need to, on the server side, be flexible about which of those happens and make choices based off of the client features involved. Which means that, we just need to be cognizant of that when we're implementing it on the server side. I mean, right?
Yeah. Uh, yeah, or yeah, I don't know. I mean, we can ask the client to like trim its inodes and entries for that part of the tree. I mean, that's again a protocol change, I guess. Because right now their recall messages to the clients are like, it doesn't say which part of the tree
Yeah.
you should
And
drop. Yeah.
and they're gonna have those files open. So we can't like ask
Yeah,
them to
yeah, you
recall if
cannot.
it's open, it doesn't do anything. It just says,
Yeah.
nope, I'm using it, and doesn't return those bits. Yeah.
Hmm.
Like we're sticking a thing on top of POSIX that has POSIX implications, so it's nasty. That's just all there is to it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Maybe you need a protocol change. And that means it needs to go in the K client too. All right. Milind, anything else you want to discuss for this?
No, nothing else.
All right. So
What's
everything
the
gets flagged out,
sorry.
right?
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
what's the protocol change we need to do to be specific?
So what Greg was talking about at a very high level is for the CAP protocol to start returning, not block, and start returning error codes. So like if the client is like wanting to have a cap for a file under a quarantine subvolume, um, the MTS will, instead of not handing over a cap, um,
Oh, okay. Turn
yeah,
an error
it will
code.
just exactly. So that can be handled by the client then. So that's the protocol change, which means older clients will still block.
Okay. Well, if we are good with revoking session keys, then we can do that.
Oh yeah, that's another thing you were thinking about. You want to discuss that, Milind?
Yeah. So again, it comes down to the fact that if we have subvolume root mounted, then it's perfectly fine. If we have the root of the file system mounted and then a client tries to access or write with to the file with available caps, then and if we revoke a session key for that client, then he can't write to any file.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding of session keys is pretty limited. Greg, Patrick, anyone on this?
I don't think it's worth optimizing for that since almost all of our clients are multi sub-volume mounts. Like think about it in an ODF context. Every node mounts a bajillion sub-volumes with the bind mount thing or whatever it is, and
We'll have different keys per mount, right?
no. And I think that the OpenStack Manila implementation uses those pro sub-volume keys, but nothing else does that we deploy with that I'm aware of. And I'm not even sure about Manila.
Oh yeah, then the session revoking the session keys is going to be problematic then in those environments.
Oh, and I mean, we
Because
also,
like,
yeah, we don't have a way to meaningfully revoke session keys unless Patrick's done that recently. He was talking about it, I think, because like we can revoke a session key, but that prevents new access. It doesn't block existing existing sessions.
yeah, I mean, I guess Milind was talking about doing that itself. So
Yeah.
existing access
No.
also revoked.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so that's probably that's pretty disruptive. All right, looks like changing the protocol is probably what you're going to do. Probably might be for good then. I mean, maybe debugging cap issues, like we could start returning timeouts for cap updates, maybe. Probably a wider case for making our cap protocol act a little bit less fuzzy. All right. Anything else on this topic? I guess not. Moving to next, sub-volume V3 status update. Let's do that last. That's more of a status update. Next up, track cap update messages in op tracker. Visibility here could help with a lot of stuck off issues. Great.
Yeah, I put this on here. I don't even remember why it came to my head, but it's been floating around in my, for a decade or however long since I did the MDS op tracker implementation. Right now, cap updates come in and they go into the pile of heuristics that is the locker, and then sometime eventually something comes out, and there's no server side reporting on like incoming caps and outgoing responses. Um, I haven't looked at this in any detail, but which means that I can't say a lot here except that I'm thinking about tackling this again.
Okay.
It would be nice because we could start issuing server side warnings on things like, okay, like we've got a stuck cap request that on this client, and noticing it from the server side instead of from blocked client ops, and then perhaps providing more information about and context about why we're not accessing it and which other node might be doing something with those capabilities or whatever the thing is that's blocking it. So all I can really say is if I succeed, it will be nice, and I don't have a lot else in mind. But I'm likely going to take a stab at it. A long time ago I had ideas for how it should go and just didn't have time to get to them. And kind of assumed it would happen eventually, and it hasn't yet. So I want to at least take a look again. as I'm refamiliarizing myself with regular development.
Good. Yeah, on the same note, documentation. I was recently cleaning up, like Zach was cleaning up the documentation and reached out to me regarding a section in the troubleshooting section, which pointed like you can dump in flight hours from the CephFS client. And when I tried that command out, there was nothing. That command wasn't even valid. So maybe the client may want to integrate the op tracker in the client itself, client too. Maybe it used to be there and somebody took it out because the docs say, dump in flight ops from some from CephFS. So that's essentially like pulling out from the information from the op tracker. So I was surprised, we have it in docs, but not in implementation. So I created a tracker for that, which I highlighted in the client.
That is interesting. And the kernel client debugfs can dump ops, and I don't remember what there would have been in Fuse or the user space. I thought it had something but I didn't think it was like the op tracker.
Yeah, there's nothing. That command isn't even valid.
Yeah.
And for the kernel client, I mean, debugfs, yes, it has like the
Yeah.
MDS operations and operations it has sent to OSDs. So those are there, but like the MDS operation is actually the operation, like a create or delete or whatever. And the radar's operation would be like a write or whatnot. And we obviously have the cap dump in debugfs, but we don't have something like this is the like the cap request I've sent, and I'm still waiting on it. There's nothing like that as far as I can tell. So maybe we want to have something like that in the K client too.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not what I was thinking about for this, but it would be nice.
Yeah. Do we have Slava or Alex here to? I mean, need not discuss in detail right now with us. Just that.
I'm here, Mike.
All right. Okay.
Again,
nothing.
I wanted to. I did want to add the auto reset for the clients. I mentioned it some time ago, and I think it blends nicely with what's first spoke.
All right. Okay. So just FYI, I mean, Alex was thinking about a client reset kind of feature where, if for some reason a bug or whatever, the client is like not responding to a cap revoke, like the MDS sends a cap revoke and the client does not acknowledge it, doesn't dump it, doesn't drop it, so it doesn't inform the MDS that it has dropped it. And we recently ran into a similar bug recently, which eventually we figured out, yes, but it took a bit of time. A workaround that folks have been using is to just remount the client. However, Alex was like considering the idea of resetting the client. So somehow the client would reset its caps and tell the MDS it has its view of the caps for this particular for the inode it knows about is it's start from a clean slate, defaults or whatever. So Alex was doing some thought on that. So yeah, just FYI. Or anything else on this? You have to be a bit quick because we're already on the 1 hour mark. All right, next one up, Igor. You have put something.
It's just an idea that came to me and Alex a couple of days ago when we were discussing the first observability of the cluster in general and CephFS. And the CLI, the usability of the CLI. So today there are a lot of very nice C++ libraries for the terminal style UI, and maybe we can do some kind of binary with a tool actually that I don't want to say compete with the dashboard. I think it's another way to see data that doesn't require actually any server and bringing out these dashboards, setting up, and deploying it. And it comes as a regular, just a binary, built with the Ceph. Maybe we can start with something very small for example, just for CLI commands. Instead of running all the CLI commands manually and with the parameters that you need to remember and stuff like that, you can just do the visually. This is the general idea.
Okay, I mean, I don't have any much thoughts on this. Talking about what is this end curses thing or some UI which has a list of commands which you could run?
It's UI. It's a C++ code that you write C++. There are a few libraries, but there are C++ code that actually you do terminal UI with C++. So you don't need to know any specific. There is a library, of course, but these libraries become more and more popular. I didn't dig deep into this issue, but I saw a lot of new tools, especially came from Rust. Actually, the Rust folks, they like to build this type of tools, but then they ported most of these libraries to C++ as well. I mean, it's just an idea in general. So the question, if we want to have such type of user interface tools that will replace eventually the regular CLI we have, but without adding another layer of complexity in terms of deploying the dashboard and other service and stuff like that. Just a binary that comes with the system. This is what I mean as an approach.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, just put it on the list. Maybe someone,
This looks like
interested
it's general for Ceph, not really for. I mean, it could be for CephFS, but yeah, it looks like it's something we're planning to might be useful for Ceph in whole.
Yep.
In general, right?
Yeah, but maybe we can show some use case with CephFS, some small use case with CephFS, and then maybe it will be adopted to general Ceph. Usually such type of things, it's kind of an evolution, right?
We can probably make a small demo in some time, probably after CephFS.
Yeah.
And I think that would be useful to understand what kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
Basically, it means that instead of running all the commands that you may or may not remember, you have a button that you press and you have a continuous view of what you would get with multiple CephCLI commands. So it's kind of complementary to the web interface.
I see. Okay. Could you list down or at least give some information on the library, whatever it is called, some links or pointers so that I can read upon it and folks can, interested folks can start reading.
Sure, we'll add it to the
several. Yeah. Again, because it's standalone, there's basically there should be some API that provided. So I'm not even sure that C++ is managed. We can actually do it in any other language. It can be even a separate library, a separate Git repository. We can compile a small list of UI libraries. There's it's very famous in Rust that Igor and I would probably use, but there are a few in C++ as well.
Perfect. All right. Okay, we are running out of time, so really quick, final topic, subvolume V3 status update. Do we have Rishabh around? Never mind, I can give a quick update on that. So Rishabh has been working on the V3 subvolume for quite some time, has a PR out. This is supposed to be the final subvolume. It's kind of designed to learn from our mistakes from V1 and V2, and hopefully V3 is the last. We'll try to get it in Umbrella. And folks who have questions about upgrades, this V2 and V1 will be auto upgraded to V3. It's a directory layout change, but that will be taken care during auto upgrades. So no special upgrade procedure required. The PR has been languishing around for some time, lacking reviews. So yeah, spend some time on reviews and try to make it to Umbrella. We won't really backport this to Tentacle, not really required for Tentacle. So, but once you move to Umbrella, you'll start using V3 with the auto upgrade. That's the small update on V3. It's showing up. All right. Any other topics? Sorry, we are out of time. So any other topics has to go to the pad, which can be discussed later somewhere else.